This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
I was trying to get it how I live. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get fly. I got 6 jobs. I don't get tired. I don't get tired.
Welcome into episode number 4 of Two Bad Hombres with your hosts, yours truly, Vito, Jerome Turco, and the Doc from Doc and Jock. That is John Macaroon from Doc and Jock. John, glad to have you alongside me for another fresh edition of the podcast, and we are already on episode number 4. Now, that's not really saying too much, I guess, but I will say it like that because we're one more step close to episode 5 and one more step close to episode number 10, Doc. So I think it's been running smoothly so far, this new podcast, and we hope to keep it rolling along in the right direction, Doc.
All that matters is Steve likes the podcast. I appreciate the tweets at our Twitter page, Two Bad Hombres, and he said, hey, good job so far. I like the podcast, and that's all we can do is just, hey, sit here, have a conversation, put out some entertaining stuff, and that's all we try to do here is, hey, I enjoy your company. I like having you part of the network. You haven't come to me with any demands yet that are too outrageous that I can't meet, so I feel like we're exposing you to the world, and that's all I can do is just say, hey, there's this guy, Vito. Everybody should know him. Everybody should listen to him. And when we get a chance to do a podcast, I genuinely look forward to it. But you know what I don't look forward to?
Ooh, let me hear it.
Sitting at home, chilling with the kids. You know, they're grabbing my phone and they're potentially like looking through videos. All of a sudden, a series of texts fly into my phone, and it's my man Vito getting crunked at a bar. What's that about?
Well, by the way, crunk is, I think, drugs and alcohol. So drunk a little bit. Now, not totally drunk or out of my mind like that. So I was all right in a livable, doable state. And my friend, Nick Schmiegel, man, he gets my phone, will attack me and do whatever he desires to slander my name and whatnot. But he was having a good old time too, wanted to have some fun, via my expense, and he did so. He took a picture of me taking a shot of something. My God, I don't even know what the heck it was. Wasn't very tasty, but the thing is, when I take a shot, I move my head all the way back, I cock it all the way back, and I think that's the proper way to take a shot. Not that I learned it from anybody, but it's like my style, my signature mark when I take a shot, and was having a good old time. I'll just say that much. I was in downtown Royal Oak, a lovely downtown Royal Oak, very close to where I work at Top Cat Sales, and I started the night at Blackfin Ameripub. Did not eat anything. That was not going to happen that night. Now, we did our drinking there to start off. Then we went to O'Toole's right nearby, and then we finished the night off at 5th Avenue. And we went to the upper level where you can do some dancing, have some more fun. Have to pay a little cover, though, to get upstairs to the second level of 5th Avenue. But well worth it most of the time, and my friends really enjoy it, I would say even more than me. And I did some dancing, got down with my bad self, and it was very darn fun.
Now, when Vinny was working here and doing his podcast, he would go out to different bars and give us a review. I don't think I've ever been to 5th Avenue, so give me the lowdown. I've never been there, so take me through it. Where's it at? How much are the drinks? Did you have a good time? The ambiance? Review the bar for me.
Well, it's on 5th Avenue in downtown Royal Oak, and there's a first floor and an upper level where you do all your dancing. There's another bar up there on the second floor, too. Drinks can be pricey. A lot of people, a lot of good-looking ladies, good-looking dudes. Everybody's good-looking. Well, especially when I'm there. Obviously, the V-man here. But in all honesty, it is one of my favorite places in Royal Oak. Not my favorite, though. It is, for me, Blackfin Ameripub. Now, if I had a rate 5th Avenue on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of, 1 to 5 stars, let's say, I would probably give it 3.5 stars because I've had a lot of my fun there, but not maybe always my greatest nights there. And I've had some good nights, some really good nights, and then some great nights, I guess you could say, is how I would classify it, my nights as in the past. And I've had my most entertaining nights, I think, almost all the time when I've been at Blackfin, also at O'Toole's. Man, back in the day on Thursday nights, Thirsty Thursday nights, $2 refills. If you have the mug, you get a mug there at O'Toole's. You bring the mug in, and then it's $2 each and every single time you go up to the bar to get a refill of beer. I mean, what's better than that when you're in college? You have no money. I had no income, man, whatsoever. So a cheap beer like that to refill my mug for $2 like that at O'Toole's on a Thursday night, man, those were great nights, Thirsty Thursday nights with my buddies from college, other buddies too. Everybody went out, had a good old time, and those are some of my most fun moments, I would say, back in college. And I'm trying to relive now all the best memories, I guess, here and reminisce as much as possible. And I hope you enjoy that, Doc, yourself and everybody at home that's tuning into the podcast. Those have been, I would say, some of my best nights, most fun times. And yeah, once again, I would say I would give Fifth Avenue. And the first floor is different than the second floor. Like I said, if you don't want to dance and want some space to move around, to roam freely, and to talk and hear yourself talk, you don't want to be on the second floor at Fifth Avenue whatsoever. And they have some specials at times, but I go there more into a bar. Let's just say that in general terms. I go to a bar to really talk with my buddies. I'm with a group of friends who I want to talk with and hear what they're saying to me. When you go to Fifth Avenue into the second floor, you can't hear everything up there. So for me as a conversational dude, a guy that is, I would say highly sociable, personable, whatever you want to describe me as, I would say for me, I'm much better off with the first floor of Fifth Avenue. And with Blackfin Ameripub, I say that bar because of the fact that you can talk and hear yourself talk to your buddies at Blackfin. And it was a stellar night. A night, I guess it was a little bit better than yours, being at home in your mid-30s with your wife and kids. But rightfully so, you were where you had to be, where you should have been. And I give you power for that. And I hope to be in your place one day as well in my 30s. I don't want to be just going out all the time in my 30s either.
And something I would say as advice to you, as a guy that I would believe is your mentor, why on earth would you ever give up your phone to somebody, even if you're drinking? Because here's the thing, and let me let you in. Your friend Nick seems like a good guy.
He is a good dude. He is.
Yeah, but for me, I'm not so much a good dude. I'm more considered like a bad hombre. So I would have took your phone and maybe did some things that were a little bit unsavory, like go through your text messages. I would have maybe took pictures of myself and sent them. I might have, dialed up some people that you may have known and things like that. How comfortable do you feel with your boy Nick that you're able to give up your phone? I think that's a big no-no. It's a big mistake that you made. Plus, that's another thing, too, is that you know some valuable people.
Yeah,
so
I do
say, exactly, you know me.
Well, I was thinking of another John, maybe. But
so you could potentially, knowing that your friend is under the influence, having a good old time, maybe make some mistakes. And I would say going forward, you need to keep your phone locked at all times so that nobody has access to it.
Guess what? It's not going to happen because my buddy, and by the way, you can't put it past Nick Schmiegel at all with texting other people that he shouldn't be. And
has he ever done that?
He's done some stuff. Oh, yeah, he has. You can't put it past him. And trust me, I will complain as much as I can to make him stop. And yeah, he just kind of takes the phone, man. Like, I leave it behind, though. I leave it all by its lonesome, and then it's free for the taking. And guess what? Nick Schmiegel will take that phone, and every single chance he gets to take it, and will text somebody. But he's not dirty. He's not profane, typically. Maybe in the past when we were in college and just hanging around, goofing off. But lately, and you know what, overall-wise, he doesn't really take advantage of my contacts and text somebody that he shouldn't, and in a profane, dirty/negative way. So he's good with that. He's a good dude once again. But yeah, you can't put it past him that he won't text somebody, because he will. He texts you. I mean, like, he knows you, but why would he text you? Now, he knows that we text a lot, we talk a lot, we do the podcast together. He wanted to sabotage me a little bit there, or at least have you be on the inside, from the outside, to see what my dirt is, what my activity was, to get some dirt on me. And you got some good dirt that we're discussing now, and hopefully Steve Chimenta, I know he's listening to this very fine podcast, I hope he is entertained by this story as well, and I think he would be, and I hope people are entertained by our Twitter feed. By the way, it is at 2 Bad Hombres, as you said. Now, wanted to clear this up because neither of us have so far. It's 2 as in the numeral, the numerical figure 2. It's not 2 spelled out. I don't think we've ever even cleared that up. That's our Twitter handle, and I don't think we've ever noted that prior to right now, Doc.
Yep. Follow us on Twitter, 2 places, at Detroit Podcast and at 2 Bad Hombres. And you can catch all the hijinks and hilarity that we do here at the Fine Network. All right. So
Really quick, Doc. You know what? Also, I forgot to bring this up. My friends were referring to Saturday night as my birthday. Now, I wanted to ask you now for your opinion, and I guess some other people can chime in maybe on Twitter, at our Twitter handle. Is it right to call it your birthday when it's really not? And I went along with it. I can't say I did it, but I didn't advocate for them to do it. They took it upon themselves and started doing it, saying it was my birthday. And I got a free drink, by the way, from somebody thinking it was my birthday. I got a Corona, which I like a lot, too. So I drank that down very quickly. A few other Coronas, too, maybe. But anyways, getting a free drink and having it be referred to as your birthday when it's really not, is there something wrong with that, Doc? You tell me the truth here.
No, man, that I applaud your friends with. That's great because you got a free drink, you have a good old time. Now, the other part is I wish they would have extended it further and say, hey, did they find you a nice lady to have a good time with and maybe dance with and say, hey, it's his birthday, and once the evening progresses, you could have had some more fun.
They're not looking out for me in terms of that. And we won't get into the specifics, but there was no dirt like that to reveal from. where they could have hooked me up and done the right thing. Maybe you could say the right thing.
So on a
as
scale of
friends
1 to
with me.
5, how good of a wingman is Nick?
Oh, he's a good wingman. He calls me a subpar wingman, though. I can bring in the ladies. That guy, I don't know what he's thinking at times, but I can if I really put my mind to it. You know what? It's always about whether or not you exert the effort, right? And when I do, I'm all right as a wingman, and he is too, and actually very good. So that's our combo about that to start off this week's podcast, and episode number 4, that is, of Two Bad Hombres. Now, we have some bigger fish to fry, don't we? Now, once again, we've got to get into the ugly topics regarding Donald Trump, and the one that I want to first start off with is his press secretary at the White House, Sean Spicer, made some comments during his White House press briefing Saturday, which included taking no questions from the gathered media. And in honor of Spicer's boss and now our commander-in-chief, I think we all need to say wrong in response to that, as Trump would say himself, right? We can kind of say that at this point about Mr. Donald J. Trump. Now, we have to call him President Trump, by the way. So weird for me to say that, but he is President Trump. And you know what? This Spicer dude, Sean Spicer, spread some falsehoods, too, about the inauguration crowd being the largest of all time, which it definitely wasn't. And it prompted Brian Fallon, Hillary Clinton's former press secretary, to call on Spicer to resign from his post already. Is it premature to call upon Sean Spicer to resign from his post as press secretary of the White House, Doc?
Well, for me, I'm just like, I know it's one of those things where he's trying his best to hype up the president. He's trying his best. He might be even taking orders from the president to go out there. Just one of those things where that's not really important. I just think that if someone from the New York Times tweets it, just ignore it. It has no value. It has no meaning. Okay, you know what? President Obama was a historic president, the first African-American president. If Donald Trump can't let that go, or if he's not able to put that aside to run the country, Hillary Clinton was correct that you can be baited with the tweet. And I really feel like that's what they're doing. Unless, what value does the New York Times have even posting it? So I feel like they're trying to bait him, the administration and things like that to maybe even create news. So I feel like they should have ignored it. It's no big deal. They could have even laughed at it and said, hey, I was still elected president. I'm still here, doing the job. But they chose to address it, and that's what he's going to do. Spicer probably started off his job not doing well. The second, though, press conference meeting was a little bit better in that he was able to address the questions a little bit more professionally. It's just one of those things where each and every time you call upon the press, you got to realize it's not PR. Not one of those things where the entire group of people there are going to be supporting you. No, they are there to dig. They're there to try and potentially frame a story in a certain way, to gather facts and things like that. But, when they're going to ask questions, you just got to be able to sometimes handle it politically correct. And right now, Donald Trump is nowhere near that, and neither is Sean Spicer. Some people like that, but in my honest opinion, I just felt like it was one of those situations they could have handled it better. They didn't. I feel like it'll move forward. I don't think he's going to lose his job,
But could it spiral out of control? All these falsehoods being spread by Sean Spicer and the likes of the White House administration now in place because of Donald Trump.
They do not care.
But shouldn't they care? That's the problem right there. You can't have that not care attitude. And you know what? It's not right. I don't stand for it. And there's bigger fish to fry here, I know. The thing is, it could be where they're lying about nukes being dropped potentially, or those, just a nuclear threat. What if they're lying about that and the nation, the viewing public, isn't then highly informed about what they should be informed about? With these lies being spread, that can lead to that. It can spiral out of control. And that's where the stupidity and the stuff that is uncalled for truly stems from. It is in that place right there. And it starts right now. It starts at the top with Donald Trump and him not caring whether or not he's spewing BS out of his behind. But then also it's leaking down to Sean Spicer, the White House press secretary right now intact because of Donald J. Trump. Also to his counselor, Kellyanne Conway, who we can critique her dress, right? What she wore on the inauguration day. Thing is, it's not worth our while. We're not going to critique that here on Two Bad Hombres. We're going to critique her stupidity. The comments she made on Sunday on NBC's Meet the Press to host Chuck Todd. And when she said specifically that Spicer had used alternative facts, yeah, really, she actually uttered that phrase, alternative facts, when he falsely, that is Spicer, labeled the crowds at Trump's inauguration as the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration period, both in person and around the globe. Really? And then we find out that actually, by the way, Spicer contradicted himself during that first press briefing when he took no questions from the press whatsoever. We actually found out that he contradicted himself truly. He stated during that press briefing that inaccurate numbers involving crowd size were also tweeted. No one had numbers because the National Park Service, which controls the National Mall, does not put any out. But then he also said this, Doc, that we do know a few things. So let's go through the facts. We know that from the platform where the president was sworn in to 4th Street, it holds about 250,000 people. From 4th Street to the media tent is about another 220,000. And from the media tent to the Washington Monument, another 250,000 people. And guess what, guys? He didn't stop there. Was spewing this BS, utter and complete BS. Instead, he added, we know that 420,000 people used the D.C. Metro Public Transit yesterday, referring to Friday, the inauguration, which actually compares to 317,000 that used it for President Obama's last inaugural. And this was the largest audience, once again, he says, to ever witness an inauguration, period. Using period in there, too, both in person and around the globe. So let me try to figure this out, Spicer. And what you first said about the National Park Service determining the crowd size, but not releasing numbers is true, then how did you come up with the aforementioned figures, plus the claim that no prior presidential inauguration had as many viewers? Well, the thing is, guys, he lied and yet didn't flinch as he spoke of these fallacies to the media and those watching at home. That's like my little editorial, I guess, because it has to stop. I'm saying with that right there. It can't spiral out of control because I could see it becoming that because of, well, once again, it starts at the top with Trump as the president of the U.S. of A., but then it stems down to Sean Spicer and to his counselor, Kellyanne Conway, Doc.
All right, let's play the clip, and let's make sure we go through it correctly, because I know you seem to be so negative all the time. I feel like she did a good job. I feel like she did a good job. She was trying to obviously defend, and I feel like they should just... I feel like at this point in time, when you're just starting off, they should just go to layup places. Kellyanne Conway should only go to Fox News. Fox News, the Fox News channel has a substantial audience. She should just go there for the first month or so, ease your way back into it. By talking to Mr. Todd, you know that he's going to press you a little bit on what Spicer said, and I think that she was okay in saying that he was a little bit sensitive and a little bit overly dramatic, but to use the phrase alternative facts probably wasn't the best way to go.
Then explain, you did not answer the question. Why did the president send out his press secretary, who's not just the spokesperson for Donald Trump, he also serves as the spokesperson for all of America at times. He speaks for all of the country at times. Why put him out there for the very first time in front of that podium to utter a provable falsehood? It's a small thing, but the first time he confronts the public, it's a falsehood?
Chuck, I mean, if we're going to keep referring to our press secretary in those types of terms, I think that we're going to have to rethink our relationship here. I want to have a great open relationship with our press, but look what happened the day before, talking about falsehoods. We allowed the press to come into the Oval Office and witness President Trump signing executive orders. And, of course, the Senate had just confirmed General Mattis and General Kelly to their 2 posts. And we allow the press in. And what happens almost immediately? A falsehood is told about removing the bust of Martin Luther King Jr. from the Oval Office. That's just flat out false. And
it was corrected immediately.
Chuck, why was it said? Why was it said in the first place? Because everybody is so presumptively negative.
Climb into the head of that reporter.
Stop lying about Trump.
Oh, no. That reporter was writing on behalf of the press pool. That falsehood got spread 3,000 times before it was corrected.
Excuse
me.
It does not excuse, and you did not answer the question.
I did answer your question.
No, you did not. You did not answer the question of why the president asked the White House press secretary to come out in front of the podium for the first time and utter a falsehood. Why did he do that?
He's so mean to a woman, too.
He's so not degrading towards women. Please, cut it out, man.
Don't be so overly dramatic about it, Chuck. You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that. But the point we made...
Alternative facts. How about Merriam-Webster, what they came out with? Man, some negative stuff that has come out online, on Twitter, all of the above, to hit Kellyanne Conway hard, man, for spewing that nonsense, a word, a phrase that literally has never been used before, and now it's being used by somebody in her position that serves as a counselor to the President of the United States of America. My God, that's a problem right there.
Okay,
Doc.
Vito, set the world straight. What is the true and accurate definition of alternative facts, and how did she blunder that? How did she make a mistake?
Well, there is no such thing as alternative facts. That's the thing. That's the problem right there. It's either a fact or it's not a fact, right? And what Sean Spicer uttered to the press in that press, briefing on Saturday, it was a bunch of falsehoods. And then it was able to have a second life because Kellyanne here furthered it. She didn't deny that she didn't come out and say that what he said wasn't true. She went on with it and then labeled what he had said as these alternative facts never heard before. And I guess we'll be indebted to Kellyanne Conway for a long time now for creating that great phrase that will run its course now in American history and already has spread like wildfire on Twitter. We've seen the Tennessee basketball team use it. Did you see that in a media guide that they came out with for a basketball game? Quite the game notes right there. Maybe PJ Gradowski or Scott McDonald can come out with that, with maybe some alternative facts of their own for Detroit Mercy and Oakland University, respectively, because it was quite the thing to see on Twitter when I saw that tweet, which I retweeted at Two Bad Hombres on Twitter, our Twitter handle for the podcast. And had you ever heard of such a term, by the way, before Conway uttered that nonsense on Sunday to Chuck Todd?
Alternative facts. Most people call it exaggeration,
right?
Manipulation.
Yeah, exaggeration is a good way to put it, I would say. But it wasn't factual. It was a bunch of BS. Totally inaccurate. And when it's inaccurate, guess what? The stuff that you're spewing, you're saying, is not factual then. It's either a fact or a non-fact. And what she uttered, what she said in defense of Sean Spicer, that was totally uncalled for, never before seen, and now alternative facts are going to have a life of their own, and it's why we have a segment now called Alternative Facts on Two Bad Hombres, where we're going to discuss some alternative facts that aren't true whatsoever. And the first one to know, I think, is that the Earth is flat, right? The Earth is flat. I met a nice woman on Saturday, by the way, at the 3 bars that I frequented in downtown Royal Oak. What else can I say? Oh, by the way, I'm 6'8", not 4'8". What else can we say here, man? Just sputter nonsense after nonsense. And it's so laughable because, and I laughed at that clip too there, because this is the counselor to the President of the United States of America doing this on national television. God, how are you credible? How do you come back after that? There's like no coming back now for Kellyanne Conway. She'll be known as that forever. And she's already kind of flaky. Don't you think she's kind of flaky on air? And she gets made fun of by SNL. And I guess it's the far left, which maybe I'm leaning towards, and I'm a liberal, say this, say that about me. But it's nonsense that she's a person that brings this phrase to fame. My God, it's Kellyanne Conway, who maybe we should have thought.
Audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
And period. Use that to emphasize your point of inaccuracy. God almighty, we have a problem.
Audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
Oh, yeah, period, baby. No doubt about it, even though you're totally wrong. How laughable. Don't we have to make fun of him a little bit? Don't we a little bit have to make fun of Kellyanne Conway and call her out for this utter BS? Don't we, Doc?
Listen, period. You got to be nicer, man. Listen,
hey,
her job...
I'm a nice guy. You know that. Come on. We got to criticize when we have to criticize. That's what we're called upon to do as American citizens, I think.
See, listen, she did not do a great job in that situation in the last week of stating the clear facts. And what she should have said was, listen, Donald Trump is trying his absolute best to run this country, and the attendance issue is no big deal. That is so great that Mr. Obama had 800,000 people, and Donald Trump was able to attract 500,000 people because they were all working. Everybody else was employed, or it was not a nice day. They could have made excuses. They could have done whatever they needed to do. It was not the best way to handle it, and maybe, like I said, they were learning on the job, and hey.
But you can't learn on the job. Should they even be in their positions now?
Vito,
God, how embarrassing was that for them in the White House administration that's in place right now under Trump?
We're talking about inauguration attendance numbers.
Oh, it's not big, but I'm saying it could spiral out of control. Don't you think it could with the lies?
Because what's more important is what's done in the last 3 days. See, you spent now 14 minutes railing on and on.
Absolutely.
And all I'm thinking about, and you know what I'm talking about to you? That Mr. Trump has spent the last couple of days writing executive orders, meeting with the auto industry. He put a hold on federal government employment at this point in time. He's working to improve the economy of the United States of America, getting out of the terrible trade deal, TPP, working his best now probably to start the process of renegotiating NAFTA and things like that. So that's more important to focus on. Yet you want to waste 15 minutes talking about Kellyanne Conway and her cat outfit and whatever.
No, I said no talk about the outfit. I said that was BS and not worth our critiquing. We have bigger fish to fry. I still think we have to call out
Is it
people
important?
when
No.
they do make mistakes.
Inauguration numbers, whatever. He wants to exaggerate it. He's done it before, and I think that's been well known that he's an exaggerator, and he's somebody that comes out there and just tries his absolute best to put the best foot forward. And another point that he also could have made was, listen, we don't know what time that picture was taken where there was a lot of holes and there was a lot of empty spots. You don't know when that was. You don't know exactly
Do
when.
we know it might be timestamped on Twitter? I know you can look up the tweets that way, though. You can see the time that those photos were taken and tweeted out. So I think you might be able to prove that wrong, prove you wrong, I guess, and prove it right what people have said, that the attendance numbers were not even close. And based on that picture, which, by the way, people were saying that that picture, by the way, and I believe it was Sean Spicer himself in that press briefing on Saturday, he said that that picture was intentionally framed in an attempt to make Trump's crowd look smaller than it really was. God almighty, once again. I mean, it's like, man, what other stuff is he going to utter that's just totally nonsensical and totally untrue? I know we can go all day on this, and I could, but we should move on too.
We should call this segment "What Got Vito's Panties All Up in a Bunch." This
Right,
week.
hey, what got Vito worked up? Okay, I'm a man here. Come on, dude, come on now. But we'll stop it right there with that, and we'll take a quick commercial break here on episode number 4 of Two Bad Hombres.
Doc here for the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Thank you for your continued support and allowing us to keep the studio lights on, the microphones hot here at the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. If you like what you're listening to, you like the variety of podcasts that you hear, definitely check out our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. That's the easiest way to support us. You get all the news from the network. You can check out the work from Vito, myself, all the guys that are putting out great content almost each and every day. And hey, if you're prone to shop online, click through that Amazon banner, go about your business, shop, and then when you're on that Amazon page, just bookmark it. Anytime at all that you make an online purchase, it kicks us back a little something and helps us keep this project going. We've been going strong since 2013, and that's been largely due to the support of our supporters, and we greatly appreciate it. DetroitSportsPodcast.com.
And back on episode number 4 of Two Bad Hombres, brought to you always by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network and the Doc from Doc and Jock. That is John Macron, always alongside me as my sidekick and partner in crime. And you have a partner in crime a guy that you wish was your partner in crime in Jimmy Kimmel. He is hosting the Oscars this year, and he's a lovely host. Great show that he hosts on ABC nightly and weeknights, that is, to be more precise. And you know what? The Oscars are Sunday, February 26th, so at the end of next month. And how much do you think he will attack Trump in his monologue and throughout the night? And what other topics do you think he'll bring up throughout the night, Doc?
Well, first and foremost, I'm actually kind of surprised Jimmy Fallon didn't get the nod. I mean, being that you believe he's better than Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, I know we've talked about it.
But it is on ABC, and he's going to represent his company, so that's good. But I do believe the right man for the job got it. I'm a huge fan of Jimmy Kimmel, all the way from the time back going to the Man Show and things like that. He's a funny guy. His humor is in line with my humor, so I get his jokes. I really like it. His monologues are funny. Most of the time, Monday through Friday, I do listen to it. 11:35, it's a great monologue. I get a lot of laughs. His skits are funny. He's got a wide range of talent. And so for him, what kind of jokes do I think he's going to make? I really feel like he should attack everybody in the audience. I think that makes for a funny show. And I think that sarcasm, kind of witty kind of stuff would make for a great banter. I'd love to see a Brad Pitt joke. Maybe
that'd be nice to see right now.
Now that Angelina Jolie's available, maybe he can do like a, kind of a recruitment bachelor style for Angelina Jolie. Maybe try to bring a rose up there and bring it to her and things like that and say, hey, now I'm available. I always love seeing him make fun of Matt Damon. They have that ongoing skit where, he always says at the end of each show, oh, we ran out of time for Matt Damon. He couldn't come on the show. So that's pretty good. I'm looking forward to that. How hard is he going to go? I really feel like, there's an opportunity to be very funny. And I think that Donald Trump, at that point in time, at the end of February, maybe there'll be something that's in the news topically that he could bring up. But I just think that, using Donald Trump for comedy, at that point in time, the effect wouldn't be as strong when you could use other kind of stuff. So Jimmy Kimmel is going to have a group of writers. He does a lot of it himself, but I think that he'll do skits. He'll do kind of, satirical type stuff. And, he's just a great political satirist, as they call him.
He is. And probably even better than Jimmy Fallon, my man. And I'll say this much about Jimmy Fallon hosting late night. and The Tonight Show, that is, starring Jimmy Fallon now, that he hosts on NBC every single weeknight and brings in A-list celebrities just like that, the snap of a finger. He's that good, can bring in anybody. I know Jimmy Kimmel can too, but my point here is that I think Fallon has initiated the idea, the concept, let's say, of viral videos almost, of going on social media and having your content be able to be reproduced via social media and then looked at by a bigger number of eyes because of social media. He's been brilliant and can't be denied that he's been brilliant in that regard and what he's done in translating his material from The Tonight Show to online the next day and having it, a lot of it at least, go viral. He is so brilliant in that regard, and you can't deny the fact that he is better than, I think, Kimmel even. Kimmel does really well in that department, by the way, too. But I think Fallon's brought a new edge to it and almost has initiated the concept, taking it to this high level that it is at now, where videos of his from The Tonight Show go viral. And I was going to say,
I think it's
even
an
more than
alternative
that,
effect. I think that Jimmy Kimmel's Halloween thing, his Halloween bit, the day after Halloween, where he has parents pretend to eat their kids' candy, is much more viral. I think that Jimmy Kimmel's videos have been seen much more than Jimmy Fallon's.
I don't know about much more. That's an alternative fact right there, sir. Okay,
No.
but I'm going to give
You gotta
Kimmel
look
this
into
much.
it. You got to look into it.
We should now, but I was going to say this in defense of Kimmel. I forgot about how he has those real people read tweets about them. That is very good, man. He has been great in that department. Nobody else thought about it before. They're both good for late night right now, because like Jay Leno has nothing on those guys at this time. David Letterman, and I know I'm like dissing a huge sect of the population here that love those guys, grew up with those guys, but Letterman and Leno were oldies. They couldn't hang with Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel anymore. So it's good to see the baton being passed on to Jimmy Fallon and to your boy, Jimmy Kimmel, who I think will never agree upon is the best late night talk show host out there because of my love, my true affection, hardcore affection for Mr. Jimmy Fallon. And I would just like to be on that show one day, maybe in that seat hosting the show or something of that sort. And we try to bring the satire here about politics and other things, as Kimmel and Fallon do very well. And some people were kind of making some satire out of the ongoing relationship and the denial of it, or not being willing to talk about it, between Tom Brady and Donald Trump. Tom Brady really never went on record about the relationship he has with Donald J. Trump, now the president of the US of A, until very, very recently. And when he did open up recently, he had this much to say, by the way, Doc, about his relationship with Donald Trump. He said that Trump's been very supportive of him for a long time and labeled their relationship as a friendship. But he also added, I don't want to get into it regarding the politics, Trump being in office. He said, but if you know someone, it doesn't mean you agree with everything they say or they do, like you and I. So it makes this podcast great podcast, I think. One that my aunt listens to, Steve Chimenti, hopefully a few other people out there. My buddy, actually, a shout out to him. Maybe he'll listen into this edition of it too. Brian Pappas gave a listen to it, and he likes the satire, the lively banter between you and I. And, with that being said.
Who's that?
Brian Pappas. Do you know a Pappas?
No.
No. Okay. Well, there we go. But he was a buddy that was out with me, by the way, along with Nick Schmiegel on Saturday night, living it up with me and enjoying my entertainment level or value that I provided. But hey, anyways.
Do any of these guys have girlfriends?
The thing is, you're really going off topic, ruining this conversation, but I think it's good to do this too. So I'll give you this much here. Of all the guys that I was with on Saturday night, one of the guys did, but he isn't like a good buddy of me. So no, of my main group of friends, nobody has a girlfriend right now that I can think of. So isn't that something too? None of us do. But we're out there looking, we're willing to mingle, we do, so you can't deny that with us and can't make fun of us for that, Mr. John Macaroon, even if you're trying to do so.
So speaking of late night hosts, I obviously see that you're more of a Fallon guy, a little bit more of the interview style and the bits and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like those funny
What kind of
bits.
comedians do you like? What kind of comedians do you find funny? For me, obviously, I'm a Chris Rock fan. Obviously, Kevin Hart. The kind of the funny comics that Adam Carolla, the ones that kind of have the ability to tell stories and make it funny.
Yeah.
A little bit, I listen to Amy Schumer, just a little bit too raunchy for my liking. I think she needs to scale back just a little bit. I like her humor. She's very funny, but just is way over the top for my liking. So the guys like Jimmy Kimmel, Chris Rock, Kevin Hart are the kind of people that I find to be hilarious. But you know who is absolutely hilarious? Aziz Ansari, always. His specials always bring
Did
me
you
to the
watch
ground.
him hosting SNL? I missed the episode, by the way. I watch it
great.
like every single week.
It was great.
Yeah?
I enjoyed it. I missed the first half hour because I had an engagement, but I came back and saw it from 12 to 1. It was funny, man. They had a great skit where he was in the bed trying to pretend to do dirty talk with this female, It was great. It was so funny. Go check it out. NBC always has on-demand stuff. But
Well, I watch it the next
Ansari-
day a lot. I do like watching the next day. Like, in any way that I can, I try to keep up on SNL. And he hosted this past Saturday night. Now, this is Saturday when the podcast is being released. And honestly, I forget who's hosting this week, but Alec Baldwin is coming up. He's going to host as well as impersonate Donald Trump as he has all season long, and terrifically. His delivery of Donald Trump, that impersonation, is just off the chain, man. It is gold, in my opinion.
I think the facial expressions I'm not really too much of a fan of. I just don't think that...
Well, he's exaggerating it.
Yeah. It's okay, but I'm just not really too much of a fan of his impersonation of Donald Trump. I think the impersonation of Vladimir Putin is funny.
Okay.
I like
And he had the cold
side-
open. Remember, he did the cold open because Alec Baldwin wasn't on to do his impersonation of Trump this past Saturday night.
So which comedians do you find to be funny? Who do you like to listen to? Do you have Netflix?
I do.
Do you
But
watch...
I don't Netflix and chill, unless you're considering it with
Not with
myself.
you, not with
Netflix
you.
and chill with myself. Or maybe you and I can Netflix and chill. Just ask your wife in advance. But I do Netflix. I just started doing it. I have my brother's account, me, Hermano, Dominic Chirco. He's let me finally use it. He wasn't letting me use it, by the way, guys, at one point. What kind of person is that?
I know. Your own brother.
Rude.
Let you
My brother, who
steal
I
his
give so
Netflix?
much to and so much love and affection all the time, my man. And God, he had to do that to me for a long, long time. Finally, he let me have the Netflix account. And you know the show that I watch now a lot? I mean a lot, too, is Law and Order SVU. I love it, man. Mariska, I think it's Mariska is how you say her first name, the lead actress. She's Olivia Benson. I loved Elliot when he was on. And I think it's Christopher Meloni, I think is his name. Loved watching that dynamic duo, man, on SVU. They made just my night every single time I watched the two of them in an episode. And so many different guest stars have guest starred on that show as well. It's been around now for, I believe, 15 plus years on NBC. What a great show and creation of Dick Wolf. I believe he's the guy that created all those Law and Order series. And man, he did a great job in doing so. And now back to, comedians that I like. I mean, I gotta give some love to like Dave Chappelle, actually. Back to Jimmy Fallon, to Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Will Ferrell. I love Will Ferrell. By the way, he's my favorite comedian of all time. And I don't know why I didn't think of his name before, but he's my favorite comedian of all time. And I just love him in Talladega Nights and Elf. Even for little kids, he's funny in that. I mean, he can do it all, Will Ferrell, at this point. And there's no denying that about him. And the satire that I would like to see out of Alec Baldwin and people that will, go into the Trump humor in the future is humor about the relationship between Tom Brady and Donald Trump. And once again, wanted to get back to that point because you just had to sway the conversation, move it in a completely different direction, Doc. Not to my liking, but it was a good change of direction. I'll give you that much, Doc.
The best part about you is I said, hey, shorten the rundown, and you sent an even longer one this week.
Well, I love the length.
What's up with
man.
that?
I know. Hey, no, it's not as long. It is not. I know it's not actually, so you can't say that. It is a long rundown, though. But, okay, so regarding Brady and that Trump relationship. Now, do you think that Brady should have just come out a long time ago and admitted to the relationship that they do have with one another? What do you think about that?
Okay, so here's my thinking on this, and it's something that even goes to something that happened in Detroit. Do you recall what Stan Van Gundy said regarding Donald Trump?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, it's obvious there are people that are against Donald Trump. Whether you are a supporter of Donald Trump or not, to each their own. You have a right to support who you support. Okay, but in business, in a situation like with Stan Van Gundy, you realize he's cost the Pistons an opportunity to have some support from some people. Okay, because you got to realize this. In business, you got to realize that every dollar from the left side and from the right side, it's all green, baby. So for a guy like Tom Brady, he's doing the exact right thing. It does him no purpose to go on and elaborate about his political beliefs. People already know he's Republican because he's filthy rich and he needs that tax break and da-da-da-da-da. That's why he's Republican. So he's obviously supported Donald Trump in the past. They've had their meetings, and obviously he's shown support. But when he's asked about it, what has he done in the past? He's just kind of walked off from a press conference. He's kind of been dodgy and things like that. And I agree with him 100%. Stan Van Gundy got a lot of praise for his comments. In my opinion, if you're a businessman and you're Tom Gores, you got to pull Stan Van inside and say, listen, I respect what you're doing, but publicly, you cannot alienate people that are potential customers. You have to realize the people that could be supporting you could be Republican. Okay? So I don't believe that him not saying anything would have cost him anything. I don't think the revolt would have been on Stan Van had he just said, listen, my political beliefs are private, and, it's one of those things where I just don't want to share it right now.
Time out. How about Tom Brady, though?
Hey, Tom Brady?
How about him waiting all this time to come out and say that they are, have a friendship at least?
I agree with them 100%. I think
To
that
wait all this time? You don't think
Yeah.
it should have come out before?
It does no
But they're friends.
purpose.
Just say you're friends.
Vito.
If you're friends, like, hey,
If
we're
you have-
friends, am I not going to come out and say, I know it's a different dynamic, but think about it. Am I not going to admit that we're friends if we're friends?
But Vito, if you were somebody that was out in the streets and saying a bunch of crazy things, and someone came to me and said,
You
hey,
wouldn't admit that we're friends?
No. Of course not.
I know what you said.
Of course not. If you would cost me any kind of money in my business and it would,
But did it cost Tom Brady anything? Come on, man. All the endorsement deals. He's going to win a 5th Lombardi trophy coming up,
Listen,
probably. It's not going to cost him any sort of thing,
Vito,
man.
this day and age, there are situations where you cannot even properly debate people. You have situations where you could have a situation where he's out in public with his family and you have a anti-Trump person there doing some crazy things. This is why you just keep it, your political beliefs to yourself and talk about it amongst your friends and things like that. That's in my opinion.
Or on a
Especially-
podcast.
Or
Like
on a
this.
podcast if you want to. But
If you want, I guess I always bring it up. But
in
go on.
my opinion, if you're in business and you know that there's such volatility, it does you no good to release your thoughts privately about politics and things like that. And you still don't know my true beliefs politically.
No,
I've kinda
I mean,
given
you're
you-
not. It doesn't mean you're a staunch Republican, and I'm not a staunch Democrat. I wouldn't
You're just staunchly wrong.
staunchly right 95% of the time. Once again, you're about 45 to 50%. I'll give you that much, Doc, here on Too Bad Hombres.
So I agree with Tom Brady, whatever he does, man. At this point in time, he's got the golden touch. The only thing, though, I would say is I think for $200 pajamas, you probably have to be able to kind of have tea with his wife or something. Maybe a phone call or something along those lines. $200 rejuvenative pajamas. Are you kidding me right now? I would never in a million years buy them, even if they were legitimately rejuvenative.
I don't even know what the heck you're talking about. I am so out of the loop with that, man.
Google Tom Brady rejuvenative pajamas. You're going to laugh your ass off when you read that.
Oh, by the way, Tom Brady, Tom Terrific that is about to win a 5th Lombardi trophy, it looks like. Big time, Doc. And we'll get into that more next week as we have a week off until then. And we have the Pro Bowl coming up, but
Wait, say that again? We have week off from football?
week off from the NFL, well, from playoff action. The Super Bowl happens, obviously, not this weekend, but the following weekend, and we'll be looking forward to that game big time. There's a big time Pro Bowl, by the way, in Orlando coming up this Sunday, though. And are we really looking forward to it? Probably not too much, but my quick take about what you said, too, really quick, about Stan Van Gundy is that, well, the product on the floor has to improve. For people to show up at the Palace, for people to show up at Little Caesars Arena, they don't really care about what Stan Van Gundy thinks. If they had LeBron James on the floor, man, I mean, think about it. They'd be showing up left and right in capacity crowds, sellout crowds, that means. I mean, don't you think so? It doesn't really matter what the coach stands for, what he's saying. Like Greg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs, their great head coach, has won how many titles now? I believe 5 with the Spurs as their head man. And he's been this influential figure now inside of the NBA, in really all of sports. And you know why they show up to San Antonio to watch the Spurs play? It's because their product is so damn good. The Pistons don't have anybody showing up at the Palace this year, not because of Stan Van Gundy's comments, and it wouldn't ever be because of that. It's because of the product on that floor at the Palace and in the future at Little Caesars Arena. So that's my quick little take regarding that, and I actually had a quick follow-up, too, regarding all of that. A question for you regarding Greg Popovich. His popularity is sky high. Stan Van Gundy's is sky high. Do you think they could actually claim public office very easily if they ran for, like, the mayor of Warren, which, hey, Stan Van Gundy might have to run for that because I think Jim Fouch is going to be on his way out, or should be at least.
And Stan Van Gundy may need a new job after the performance.
He might, yeah.
Listen, I understand that right now, this day and age, there's an opportunity for people with great popularity to run for office. I really want to see how effective Donald Trump really is, because now he holds the most powerful position in the land. He's not a career politician, and I think that is his appeal right now. But we still have to evaluate him. We still have to see how he's going to run the country, what's going to happen in that situation. Because if it doesn't work out, you've had in the past Ronald Reagan being an actor. You've had situations where non-traditional people have run for office. But if Donald Trump becomes super successful and he's able to grow the economy and he's able to have 8 years in the office, you know damn well sure there's going to be future people to do it. It's not a surprise, but in this day and age, with social media, with the great wealth that is out there, I would not be surprised at all if The Rock runs in the future, if guys that are popular in media, movies, or such and the like. But you know who probably is the most likely to maybe even do it? Tom Brady.
Well, how about, I just thought of this, LeBron James, if he runs for office for the mayor of Akron, my God, he's going to get that right away, my man. His popularity is so sky high.
But you know what? You know who the person that I kind of saw a rumor about, maybe I'll get your opinion on? I saw that if the Democrats really want to reestablish their position and they really want to hit a home run, there's one name that should run in 2020, and I'll be fully behind it.
Who is that?
Michelle Obama.
I was about to say.
I think I've
heard that as well.
She should run. She should get into politics because she's got the experience now. She's seen what it's like directly talking to Barack Obama. She would encapsulate a lot of things that people would find to be desirable. Minority, very smart, intelligent, and also a woman. But since I stated that, it's already been shot down. Michelle
Yeah, she
Obama
has shot
said
it
that
down, yeah.
I will not do it. And it's a shame because I really feel like she would do a good job, and she would do a great job of uniting people. Do you know anybody at all that has a single bad thing to say about Michelle Obama?
Or the Obamas really in totality. But it's more of Michelle
I
because...
can find some people that say
yeah,
bad
I know,
things about
I'm about
Barack
to say,
Obama.
yeah. Now, I would say this. Now, as genuine people, you really can't knock them for that. Even Barack Obama, obviously, for his class and character. But Michelle, there's nobody. There are no naysayers out there. You can really say that about her, but she's seen too much. She's been on the inside for so long. She's seen all the ugliness and how it keeps increasing. She wants no part of it, and I don't blame her for not wanting any part of it. But she would break the ice in terms of being the first female president of all time in the USA's history. So people want her to do what you just brought up, running for office because, for the presidency, because of the fact that she would be breaking the ice, reaching a level that no other woman in the history of this nation has reached. So if she was ever to run, a lot of women, a lot of people in totality, men and women, would feel empowered. And I think empowered to vote for her to become president number 46 of the nation.
You know what's something that I just seen across the wire here on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast, and it was something that sparked a huge debate. You know, Donald Trump's 10-year-old kid, Barron, was the brunt of a lot of jokes, memes, GIFs about a 10-year-old attending an inauguration. I felt that was so sad for the country, and it was sad for that SNL writer to make jokes saying that he would be the first homeschool terrorist or the first homeschool shooter out there. And I know she quickly deleted that tweet, and she deleted all signs of her social media because it was something that was a little bit low down. I know it's a joke, but it's one of those things where it's kind of a common rule. And I think common decency says that you don't make fun of kids. You don't make fun of someone's family. You make fun, if you want to make jokes, make fun about the president. He can handle it. He's got a platform.
I mean, maybe he can't handle it, but he does have a platform. Yeah.
The photos, the pictures, the innuendos. I mean, it's not funny to call someone autistic. It's not funny to call someone mentally challenged. And, you got to realize that this kid, his life is upheaved. His dad's going to be not around as much. His dad's the most powerful person in the world. You already got enough people looking at you. Now to have someone come out there and insult you, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And it really does speak to the negative side of Twitter. There is nothing negative, that would happen on Twitter that I would stop using it because I absolutely love the usefulness of Twitter and the entertainment value of it. But to use Twitter in a way, and I'm sarcastic on there quite a bit, but I don't think I've attacked anybody's kids. And there is a line, and maybe that was it. And
that's crossing the line big time. And that SNL writer got suspended or fired now. I mean, in deep, deep doo-doo. I mean, and rightfully so, because you can't bring a kid into the fray and criticize or make fun of him or her. Kids are always off limits.
Now, in our time, we've had our Twitter page now.
Yeah.
I've surpassed 50,000 tweets. Most of them are from me. Some of them are from you. You're a good dude, and we can let the secret out of the bag is that
it is out of the bag.
You're the crazy mind also behind the Twitter page, not just me. But, in the time of our podcast, we've never sent out a tweet that has lost us more than maybe 5 people at one time.
Really? Is that true?
Yeah.
That's pretty.
And the reason is the most time we lose followers are when people kind of realize that I'm the Sparty and I'm a little bit leaning toward Michigan State and my sarcasm. But I rip on both. I have a good time and I'm entertained by both schools, and I try to be as fair as possible. But I've never done anything or tweeted anything that's been so offensive where more than 5 people would click unfollow. Every single day we're adding new people, and it's been a fun ride. But I think we realize there is a line. I don't make too many political jokes. I'm more sarcastic and try to bring it from that angle, a little bit more of a sarcastic Adam Carolla style of comedy where you kind of bring up things that you shouldn't really say, but in a sarcastic way, and using these GIFs are funny ways to bring attention to your cause. But to make fun of kids is something I absolutely do not agree with. And the only time we block people on Periscope have been when they've made fun of you directly in a hostile way. And that
we had you. I mean, it was negative stuff that shouldn't be out there.
Exactly. And so
it's not right.
We don't block too many people on our Twitter page, but that's one way of getting blocked. But I like the trolls. I welcome them. It's kind of nice.
Well, it's good. Look at these bloviators out there that make big bucks off of it, that do it to troll people. I mean, the Drew Sharps and... we send our condolences to him, Drew Sharp, but the current people that do it, Colin Coward, Skip Bayless, all these guys that are bloviators, Stephen A. Smith for a living that make multi-million dollars for their contracts. But anyways, regarding the kids and putting them into the fire, It should never be talked about, really shouldn't be. And I think you should understand that even if you're kidless. Like, you probably have a new thinking about it because you have 2 daughters now. But I think even for me and others that don't have kids yet and maybe never will have kids, you just realize that it's not right. It's not proper. It's not humane. Totally not called for all the time. And I think our stance is on that. And regarding Donald Trump to a large, large degree, and guess what? More and more talk will be made about Donald J. Trump in future episodes of this very podcast. Now, you had brought up that, the entertainment value is there with Twitter. And is there any kind of entertainment value with the Pro Bowl coming up, Doc, as we transition now to that big lackluster game, in my opinion, that really has no meaning, rhyme or reason, let's say this, to watch it? I mean, now they're trying to spice it up with this Pro Bowl skills showdown with dodgeball happening. It's airing Thursday night, I believe, on ESPN in prime time. Thing is, the game itself, now it's back to the traditional format of the AFC versus the NFC, but still it's lackluster. Are you going to watch it on Sunday?
No. To talk to you about this topic, I probably would have put this on the cutting room floor in terms of a topic, but since you're a good guy, you're hardworking.
Oh, thank you, yes.
You're the main producer of this fine podcast. I would say the Pro Bowl for me is an entity that I never watch. I'm not really a fan of that many All-Star games in general, although I do like Major League Baseball taking a step back, not allowing the game to dictate who's going to have home field advantage in the World Series. But for the Pro Bowl, I will not even watch a single second of it. I'm going to spend that day watching a little bit of the maybe NFL Network and some of the pregame stuff that's going to happen, the talk for the following week regarding the Super Bowl. So watch a little bit of coverage, seeing maybe if the teams fly out that Sunday or whatever's going on, maybe some prediction, matchups type stuff, whatever they do to preview the Super Bowl. I'll watch that. But I will not watch a single moment. And then probably there'll be coverage on the NFL Network, but I won't watch a single thing related to the Pro Bowl.
But how about you have Matt Prater now? In the Pro Bowl, the kicker for the Lions, their lone representative. A reason to watch now. You got a Lions rep there in the Pro Bowl. Still no, huh?
No.
Now, okay, so what would I have to do to make you watch the Pro Bowl? Let me ask you that.
Pay me.
Yeah, how much money would have to be on the line for you to actually agree to watch in the Pro Bowl?
$50.
Okay.
I could pay. I'd watch it for $50.
Well, guess what? I'm not going to do that because it'd be stupid on my part, too. And guess what? I won't be watching the Pro Bowl either. Now, how about that Thursday night epic Pro Bowl dodgeball, though, event going on?
What have they done with it?
Do you think there's any interest there for people that haven't watched the Pro Bowl and it's skill events in the past? Which this is not even a skill event, by the way, because it's dodgeball. Not even close to being related to football. Does it maybe bring in some more eyes? Do you think it does for the NFL or
no?
Wrong, right? Like the Donald Trump, the wrong. I think we can say that here. Wrong.
Period. No one's going to watch it.
Yeah, I think you are right, Doc. And I have one other thing to bring up here. It is Vito's bad tweet of the week, and it's from @Merriam-Webster on Twitter, the dictionary, Merriam-Webster dictionary, which slammed Kellyanne Conway's usage of that phrase once again. What a phrase. Alternative facts with the following tweet. It reads, "A fact is a piece of information presented as having objective reality." And key word there is objective, not subjective, meaning up to one's opinion, but objective. Totally factual. So Merriam-Webster goes out and slams Kellyanne Conway. When has Merriam-Webster or any dictionary Twitter handle ever done that in the history of Twitter? Probably never before, Doc.
Get back to that 1 second. Who the hell's Big Time Panther?
We got a call coming in from my buddy Nick Schmiegel. That's what I referred
That's
to him
him?
as. Yeah, he had
Big Time
He had
Panther.
something else in there at first. You can probably figure it out. It wasn't Big Time Panther. It was something else Panther. Sex Panther. I'll just say it.
What?
I let him have that title for a little bit.
You put that as...
He did. Once again, he got it. The theme of this show is that Nick Schmiegel gets into my phone quite often. Probably too often at times. And that was my... I hope you all realize that was my bad tweet of the week.
Bad tweet.
And now, that ties into your alternative facts, a little segment that we want to play here. I kind of already brought up a few of mine. Now it's on the doc to entertain us with his alternative facts.
All right, Vito, some alternative facts. Jimmy Kimmel was my wingman back in the day. Yes, sir. We used to go out to California, have a good old time, and I had the most attended bachelor party thrown by Jimy Kimmel. It was great.
You wish so much. And I wish I was hanging out with Jimmy Fallon right now, by the way, instead of doing this podcast, which I love to do. But if I had the chance to hang out with Jimmy Fallon, I think I would hang out with Jimmy Fallon over hanging out with you and doing this podcast. And no offense to you whatsoever, Doc.
Do you know that Jimmy Kimmel segment where he goes out there and tells lies? I came up with that.
You did. Wow, another
I came up with a
alternative
lot
fact.
of his
That's
ideas.
really good. How about
And
the
guess
real
what?
people read
Guess
the
what?
real or the mean tweets? How about that segment?
Guess what? I invented Twitter as well.
God, you are good.
Alternative facts, huh?
There's so many, and then you can, you know what? You can really dig into sports teams here in the city of Detroit, like the Lions. They've won a Super Bowl. They're going to win a Super Bowl soon. Yeah, neither's true. Those both are very much alternative facts. The Tigers are going to be highly relevant in 2017 and win the division, the AL Central crown. That can be referred to as highly alternative too. So many things we can go on and on about and list, you know, for hours and for days here on Too Bad Hombres. But we do have to close shop on this episode number 4 of Too Bad Hombres. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week for episode number 5.
I was trying to get it how I live. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs, I don't care.